As soon as an item with that title is listed, they get an alert. I've seen it happen before. You list an item and you immediately have 6 watchers on an item. Hello everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth Flipper. I don't often say that, but I knew this video was going to go on that channel because I talked about a specific item over there on Commonwealth Picker, and I wanted to make a little video. Matter of fact, this video may actually appear over here first about a particular item because I knew I was going to get a few questions about it, and it's because I put it on auction. So the question is, when do I put items on auction? When do I do best offer items, and when do I just do a straight buy it now? Most of you resellers out there, you're pretty savvy as to which items should go on best offer, which items should go on just straight buy it now, and which items you should list as an auction. So I wanted to go over each scenario really quick and talk about it. So let me show you that item real quick. All right, so here is that item, and I bought it at a garage sale down in Roanoke, and it was a bag full of these Boy Scout patches. These look like 1970s patches and a little sash with all the Boy Scout awards and all that stuff, so little badges. And these are like shoulder strips. At any rate, they're for different ones all over the country, and there was more in the bag than this. I paid $5 for the whole bag, and I have one listed as a buy it now right now for $40 plus shipping. And I decided that this bag, I would separate them into kind of 2 unique lots. And this one, I decided I was going to do an auction on. So I want to talk about scenarios when I do auctions. I will rarely do auctions. I would say 95%, maybe more of my listings are straight buy it now. Maybe around 4% or so are best offer, buy it now with best offer. I don't often do best offer, but I occasionally do. Part of the reason I don't do it is because I don't want offers coming in all the time. It's kind of a pain to have to respond to all the offers all the time, so I don't do that very often either. 95% of the listings are buy it now. I set the price at a very fair price, or at least what I think they should sell for in comps, maybe even just a tick underneath. If my pictures are great or the item is in great condition, I'll usually go above what people are getting for them. So it just depends on your item, your pictures compared to the ones that are out there, your condition, maybe even how quickly you ship, and the fact that you've been around for a while, you have great feedback. You should charge a bit of a premium for that at times if you're a reputable seller. So that's most of the time. I almost never put an item on auction with a buy it now. It takes away the possibility of an item really going up and above and beyond what it would possibly sell for in your own mind. So I almost never do that. Occasionally, once in a blue moon, I might do something like that. I do buy it now with best offers on some items, and here's the scenario when I do that. If it's an item that I'm not positive of the value of, but I have a fairly decent idea of, I'm going to put it above what I think I want to get for it and see what the activity is around it. Is there a lot of watchers? Is there a lot of, people that have looked at it or saving it? That's the kind of thing I want to get feedback on. I don't want to just fly blind. If I put a high price on it and nobody is saving that thing, nobody's watching that thing at all, then it's probably too high. If I put a high number on it and I'm getting some people looking at it, I'm getting some people saving it, if I'm getting some people watching it, then I'm pretty happy with that. Now, if it's just a few here or there, it quite possibly could be other resellers out there saving the item so that they know what to list theirs for. That's a possibility too. So activity around an item at a certain price ought to tell you if you're in the right ballpark or not. And if you are in the right ballpark, you can eventually, if you want to, take it off of best offer, just delist the item altogether, relist it not as a best offer for a little bit less, and I think you're in the right ballpark. So there's a possibility for best offer as well. And sometimes it's an item that's been out there, you think it's worth this much, and you're just going to change it to best offer because you want it gone. So let's talk about scenarios for auctions, because that's what this is really about here. I usually do auctions under a couple of scenarios. Scenario 1, which is worst case, this item has been around forever and it won't sell. So I'm just going to delist it and I'm going to list it for a penny, or I'm going to list it for 99 cents and I'm going to get something for it and I'm going to get it out of the cave here. There's one scenario, and that's a worst case scenario on an item. And a lot of times when you do that on those items that just aren't popular, you might only get 99 cents on that item. But maybe with shipping and whatnot, maybe you'll get a little bit of your money back. Another reason to do an auction sometimes, if you have a lot of items that are similar in your store. Let's say you're selling, well, let's take these Boy Scout things. Let's say I bought a trunk full of this stuff, and I wanted to lead people to all of the items that I'm selling. So I might put a few special ones on auction to pull people to my store so that they can look to see in my store what else I have for sale, and then they can buy some of those other things. I kind of did that with this one because I do have 2 other Boy Scout items for sale, but that's not what I'm talking about. I mean, you have like, truckfuls of this stuff, and you want to sell it off, and you want to pull interested buyers to your store. So there's another reason to do an auction. Even if you know the value of what you're selling, you put something out there for 99 cents, it's going to draw people to your store, draw people to that auction. So there's another way to do it. One more scenario, and this is predominantly the reason why I did this particular item. It's because of time. So these items, I looked a lot of these patches up, and I could make $1, $2 profit, $3 profit, maybe $4 profit on some of them. But it would take forever, and I can take the time that I would spend on those, and I could be listing other things and do better. And what do I mean by better? I mean I could be taking that time to list items with a little bit more profit involved in them. Now, I'll do that if I needed to. If I didn't think that this would get some decent money selling it together in a group, then I would have done that. I would have individually made $2, $3 a piece. It would have taken forever, but I probably would have done it because I could have made, from that $5 investment, I could have probably made $150 to $200. But I'm basically making a decision here. I'm splitting it into 2 lots, doing one buy it now, I'm doing one on auction, and I'm basically saying instead of making 150 on this thing, I'm going to make 80, but I'm going to make it in 1/5 of the time. I'm going to make it in 30 minutes as opposed to 2 hours and 40 minutes. And so that should equate to the same amount of money if you can take that time that you've saved and invest it in other items. So that's basically why I did it. I put this auction out there for 99 cents. There's 50 different patches and badges. But a lot of them are these little ones right here on this thing, and there's nothing special. I looked a lot of these up. There are a few that are interesting and that have some value, but you have to sell this whole thing together. It's all one piece. And it's got some of these interesting ones here. Lancaster County, that's 1969. Northwest Suburban Council, Illinois. So, you could find interest in these basically based on where these people are from. If that's the Boy Scout group they were in back in whatever year, but you're talking about a little tiny little market. And so that would become extremely long tail to sell that stuff off. So I decided I'd put it all in one lot and sell it to a collector, essentially. And I knew that's what would occur. And I knew there would be interest because a lot of people who wanted one of those particular things are going to come to one place, and you're going to be getting people to bid against each other, even though they're bidding for different types of items that they're actually interested in, where 2/3 of that stuff they may not be interested in at all. If you've ever been to an actual auction, it's how auction houses get rid of a lot of stuff that they don't want. They group things together so that the thing that you want is in that group. You have to bid on everything. And then somebody else might want something that's in that group, and they have to bid on it. And so you're bidding for 2 different items, but you're really bidding against each other. And so that's one way to think about it. And if I would have listed this thing, buy it now, I would have listed it for probably $39.95 free shipping, and I would have sold it fairly quickly. But I'm like, you know what? Let's just do it this way. And it went up and up and up, and it wasn't amazing. It got up, I think it ended up selling for $50 plus shipping, and it ended up going to somebody in Japan. So I guarantee you that doing it that way made us a little bit more money. If I would have done buy it now on it, probably would have made $10 less. If I would have done them individually, I would have probably made $50 more, but there would have been a lot of time involved. There are a couple other scenarios where you would do an auction. One, if you're doing something for charity and you want to get people who are bidding for other reasons other than they want that particular item, you would do an auction. If you want to have a little fun, you could do it that way. The other reason is speed and getting rid of something. You know, you've had something around and it's just not selling, and you want to get rid of it, and it's a good item, and you know there's a lot of demand for it. You know, you have a lot of people watching that item, but it's just not selling no matter what you do. Put it out there on auction. You're going to get less, but you know you're going to sell it, and you know you're going to sell it in 7 days or in 10 days or whatever. Last but not least, and best case scenario for an auction that could end up being really, really good for you, not necessarily, but could end up being really good for you, is if you have an item that has a really good track record of selling for a good price over and over and over again, or even varying prices, some high, some low, and you have the only one out there. So in other words, you go to sold listings and you see 8, 10, 12 of these items that have sold for a lot of money, and then you go to active listings and you don't see any. You know that item has demand, and you know that you have the only one. So what do? Where do you set the price? So I've been doing this long enough that I'm comfortable putting things like that, because I know what's going to happen. I know that people have settings out there. As soon as an item with that title is listed, they get an alert. I've seen it happen before. You list an item and you immediately have 6 watchers on an item. Well, you know, people aren't just randomly typing that stuff in. They set alerts on their phones, and when something's listed like that, they're going to get an alert, and they're going to watch it, and they're going to start bidding fairly quickly. And of course, most of the bids will go towards the end, but you'll usually see an early bid for 99 cents. You usually see that. And then you'll see a bunch of people file in, and then eventually you'll get the price or more than you're expecting if you truly do have the only one out there. That's a great scenario. I love the 99-cent one because it gets tons of interest in there. I like doing it that way. The item 95% of the time will find its value, or find more than its value, if you do it that way. So I would caution you against that, though, unless you really are somewhat experienced and so you're comfortable. I know a lot of people are like, well, they'll do an auction, but they started at $299. Okay, you start the auction at $299 on an item that you're hoping to get $300 to $500 for. You might as well do a buy it now on it. So to me, if you're going to do an auction, just do the auction. If you're going to do the auction, you should trust that it will find its value anyways, so just put it out there for 99 cents. Now, I don't want to tell you, hey, do this, because you might make some mistakes. You might list it incorrectly. You might have bad pictures that decrease the value of it, so you really got to be somewhat experienced. But if you know what you're doing, I think that's the best option on certain particular items, and you don't come across those items very often. So anyway, for all of you resellers out there, thanks for bearing with me. You know most of this stuff already. For you resellers who are just getting started, hopefully this helps you. And send me your comments about auctions and let me know when and why you do auctions, and we appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.